welcome back to another Tech Minds video. So in this video, we're going to take a look at a neat little radio which covers more than you might think at first look. Now this radio is called a JianPai 8800, not a manufacturer that I've ever heard of before, but what actually attracted me to this radio was its colour display and Bluetooth capability, which we'll look at shortly. So in the box we do get a fairly decent user manual, which is actually in English. We also get a small antenna. However, I was a bit concerned when turning the antenna upside down to look at the connector, as it clearly states a supported frequency range of between 450 and 470 MHz, which to me is actually quite useless because the 70cm handband is actually between 430 and 440 here in the UK. So please remember to use a supported antenna for the frequency you wish to use. It's possible that the antennas which are supplied are dependent on which region the radio is sent to. Now this radio does actually transmit and receive on the 2 meter band, the 1.25 meter band and the 70cm handband. Now on the right hand side of the radio we see a covered speaker mic socket. Now this is something that we're quite familiar seeing on other radios like this. On the left hand side of the radio we have the PTT button and a couple of function buttons. On the top we have the antenna port, an on and off volume control and a rotary channel change knob, along with a status LED and an emergency button. The battery pack is a 5800 mAh lithium ion and it clips onto the radio very easily. Now once turned on we can see a rather nice and clear colour screen. Kind of reminds me of that of the Yaesu FT3D radio and how it's laid out. Now all of the buttons are rubberized with a nice solid click. The P1 button changes between VFOs and the P2 button changes between VFO and memory mode. The 8800 also has voice prompt, which normally I find annoying and turn off. However, it's actually quite useful when you're in the menu settings, as it will read out what each menu setting is for. This is especially useful if the menu title text is just abbreviated letters and you have no idea what it is. Another cool feature is the ability to scan CTCSS or DCS frequencies on the fly, which means if you hear a repeater and you're not sure on the required CTCSS, the 8800 will find it for you. So let's just talk about the frequency coverage. Now here are the frequencies at which this radio will receive and transmit, apart from the bottom two ranges which are receive only. So from these ranges we can see that for ham radio we can cover the 2 meter, the 1.25 meter band and the 70cm band for receive and transmit. You can also receive on the Airband, and while on those frequencies you cannot transmit. The radio does switch however to AM. Also supported is receive on 66 to 108 MHz, which of course is the FM radio broadcast band. Amongst the frequency ranges we would also be able to use PMR and marine bands. Obviously you need a license to transmit on any of these bands, whether it's commercial, private, ham radio or marine bands. For those eagle-eyed viewers, you may have noticed the GPS symbol on the top row of the display. Yep, this radio has a working GPS receiver which can display your location via coordinates. Now I took the radio outside on a long walk away from my home and managed to get a position fix which is accessed by pressing the right arrow button. Now I'm not sure the exact use of this or if it's merely for display purposes only, but it's actually quite useful in case of emergency and you need to relay your coordinates. So let's take a look at the power output. For the test I connected the radio to my power meter, which has a dummy load connected to the rear. So for 145 MHz we saw a power output of around 4.5 watts. For 220 MHz we saw a power output of around 5.5 watts. And for 435 MHz we saw an output of just over 3 watts. So definitely less than 20 watts, which is quite relieving. On the UK PMR band we also saw a power output of just over 3 watts. But please note this radio is not permitted to transmit on the UK PMR frequencies. Another cool feature this radio has is inbuilt Bluetooth support. Now this allows the radio to be programmed from an Android device. You can also program the radio using an application on your Windows computer, but I didn't have the cable, so I didn't try that. However, I did manage to locate and install the Android application and successfully program a couple of repeaters. Now, the software itself is rather basic, but it does cover everything you need to create a channel memory list and change the radio's main settings all within the app. Once you've chosen a channel number, you can proceed to enter an alphanumeric name for that channel. After entering the receive and transmit frequencies, you can then press the global selection button to change further settings for the channel, such as CTCSS power level and FM deviation. Now, after setting up your channels, you can simply press the right button to send this memory file over to your radio via Bluetooth. Now, if you've got many of these radios, like in a fleet, this also makes it very easy to do, and of course it's less time consuming than plugging and plugging in cables. Another surprising discovery was the quality of the received and transmitted audio. To perform this test, I connected up my Shari analog node and connected to the parrot reflector. Essentially, it records your voice and plays it back to you. So here's the results for that test. This is M0DQW, Mike 0 Delta Quebec Whiskey. Testing audio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Playback.
This is M0DQW, Mike 0 Delta Quebec Whiskey. Testing audio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I guess it's quite hard to portray how this radio sounds in real life through a video, but in my opinion, it sounds very bright and readable. Now, here's another small clip of listening to HubNet, where there is a mixture of digital and analog stations.
Channel mode. Or you can keep your license, but you're going to have to take the points. You're going to go, all right, I'll take the points then, pal, because the other three have come off. Because the new ones you're waiting on, they don't apply yet, do they? Because I remember this used to be like the old drink driving days, didn't it? God dear, 20 years ago, I can remember friends getting done for drink driving. They had to wait like 4 or 5 months sometimes to get to court before they got banned, which was ridiculous. But now it's turned over in a matter of about 14 days. So it should be really something like that. But
So the current price for this radio is around £50 UK, and I purchased this from Banggood. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in purchasing one. Also, I believe Lewis from Ringway Manchester made a video on this model towards the end of last year, where he went out and performed some comparisons with a Yaesu radio. That's definitely worth a watch if you want to see it in real life action. Well, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and I've shown you something that you've not seen before. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until the next one, take care, stay safe, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.